Hello, America. Welcome to Most Wanted Topics. I'm Kevin Dennison, broadcasting to you live from our studio in our store, Most Wanted Comics, and we talk about comic books, pop culture, and anything else we feel like talking about. My right-hand man, Tommy, with me today, producer Tommy. That's the last time I'm going to say that because you know what? We have a new name for you.
A new name?
A new name. And I tell you what, we had a lot of feedback from everybody. All the fans out there, they suggested names for you because you said you weren't happy, you weren't digging producer Tommy. So we had about 15 responses that came in with name suggestions, and the one that we picked was Atomic Tommy.
That's a good name. That's a great name, actually. Atomic Tommy. I love it.
Atomic Tommy, you're going to be dropping bombs of knowledge on us about comics and pop culture items and anything else you feel like. So congratulations, you are now Atomic Tommy.
It's a great name.
A little bit of applause there for the new name.
Applause.
So I can play with the new soundboard now. This is great. Now, with week 3 coming in, last week you said was going to be a big week for comics, but it's also going to be a big week because in a little while we're going to be talking to Bill Allen, everybody. Yes, Bill Allen, the actor who played Crew Jones in the 1986 movie RAD. We'll be talking to him in a little while. And I am so excited for this interview. I got to tell you, it's a big show. But now let's go back to your segment because you said it was going to be a big week for comics, and it was a big week for comics. Tommy, let's talk about the comics that came out.
I wasn't lying. So to kick off my picks this week, we got Birds of Prey #1. Birds of Prey #1 was a great, great book. It really, really was. Man, I really love Black Canary. Black Canary is a favorite character of mine. Whenever I read Birds of Prey, Black Canary is always who I read. I just love Black Canary. Black Canary and Oliver Queen, man. And this run features Black Canary in a huge way. Black Canary teaming up with Cassandra Cain, Harley Quinn, Big Berta, a bunch of great characters, a great lineup, a great art style. I got to point out the art style in this book. It's vintage, taking it back a little bit. It's a modern twist on sort of the Silver Age art style, and I'm loving it. I really am. Next, Amazing Spider-Man 33. My books are falling over. Amazing Spider-Man 33 was a great book. Amazing Spider-Man's been a point of controversy in the community since its start, but 33 brings it back strong. The modern take on the Kraven the Hunter, the follow-up to the Kraven's Last Hunt story. It was really, really good. The premise, not to spoil anything, spoilers, but the premise of Spider-Man being imbued and stabbed with the sins of Green Goblin is really interesting, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes. A great run. Also, the first time Amazing Spider-Man has sold out in our stores. In our store,
yeah. Not the first time as well. In our stores.
In our store.
Unless we are only 6 months old, so let's not make it sound like we had hundreds of copies on hand. But for us, it was a big deal because we weren't expecting Amazing Spider-Man to be the #1 seller for us, but it certainly was. We thought Batman was going to be the #1 seller this time. But you know what? It was a good story. The people liked it. They bought it. That's great. We also had some other good titles. You said Birds of Prey #1 was awesome. What else was awesome?
Blue Beetle #1. Coming hot off the trails of the movie. And I really liked the movie. I thought the movie was great. So when I saw that there was a new Blue Beetle #1 coming out, I had to read it because the movie was awesome. And if it wasn't for the movie, to be honest, I probably wouldn't have read this book, and I would have missed out because it was great. I'm a Ted Kord fan, and Ted Kord was really good in this issue. So was Jaime Reyes. So was Blue Beetle. It was great. Read it. Check it out.
Okay, so it's a big week. What's coming out this Wednesday now? What do we have to look forward to coming out?
Man, it's another big week. Another big week. Dawn of DC brings it back strong with Batman and Robin #1. Batman and Robin #1, man. It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Now, last Batman and Robin I read, Pat Gleason was on the art of that one. Pat Gleason does Amazing Spider-Man now, right?
Yeah,
is that correct?
Yeah, he does. He
local artist.
Do
you know who's going to be the artist or not? Did you not look?
I don't know. I don't know who's going to be the artist.
I don't know who's going to be. But anyway, I remember that run with Batman and Robin. I enjoyed it. I'll look forward to that book. What else is coming out?
Green Lantern #3. I'm a Green Lantern fan. Jeremy Adams is the writer on Green Lantern. I really enjoyed his work on Flash. I thought it was really good, and when he started on Green Lantern, I was really excited, and he didn't disappoint. The first 2 issues were great. It went on a bit of a hiatus, but it's back, and I'm excited for number 3. Another book we got coming out, Daredevil #1. Daredevil just wrapped up a great 13-issue mini run. Man, that was probably, I'll say, Marvel's strongest title during that 13-issue run. And it just ended, I think, last month, if I remember correctly. Or maybe 2 months ago. I'm not quite sure. But Daredevil #1 comes out next week, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome for sure. The last book I'd like to point out, we talked about it last week, Incredible Hulk.
Yes, good series.
Incredible Hulk #4 comes out next week, and I'm expecting big things, and I'm sure they won't disappoint.
I'm a fan of Incredible Hulk this run. I'm looking forward to issue #4 coming out. Make sure you pick that up. Also, and then right after Wednesday, of course, Saturday, the 16th, will be Batman Day. So make sure you stop back in the Most Wanted Comics on Saturday for Batman Day, and we'll have some free Batman comics to give away. We'll also have Batman items on sale at the store, and it'll be a fun Batman promotion day at Most Wanted Comics. And then coming up on September 30th, Kenneth Rockefort with his new book, Groken. He wrote it. He did the art. He published it. Mitographia, unbelievable. The guy is a genius. I love his art. I love his writing. I love the work. He's just a heck of a nice guy. On September 30th, he'll be in the store. We'll have copies of his book on hand, as well as other comics he's worked on. He's worked on so many comics. We'll also have sketch covers available if you want to try to get him to do a sketch for you. So September 30th, Kenneth Rockefort will be here. Make sure you put all this on your calendar. Batman Day, September 16th. Kenneth Rockefort, September 30th. And then follow us on Facebook to see what's coming up in October, November. We got big things planned. We're going to keep the store hopping and keep it active. So make sure you're following us. All right, now, Tommy, I got to say, coming up in a little while, we're going to interview Bill Allen. But I got to say one more time, Atomic Tommy, let's talk about our prediction. Let's talk about James Gunn, because we had some fans request your take on James Gunn controlling the DC universe.
Man, I'm excited to give this take. James Gunn, I think, is a great director. I think he's a great writer. I think he's a great movie maker. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was probably the best Marvel movie to have come out since Endgame. It was great. I have no reason at all to believe that James Gunn will make a bad DC movie. I have no reason to doubt him, really.
We also know now he can make a great Christmas special, too.
Oh, yeah. The Guardians holiday special was another favorite. That was really good. But
way better than I expected.
Way better, yeah. But, no, in all honesty, James Gunn, I think, can do it. I think he can do it right. Yeah, a lot of people like to say, well, he didn't hire back Henry Cavill, or, well, he didn't do this, he didn't do that. But honestly, if he's going to start fresh, he's got to start fresh. And it's just how it's got to be sometimes.
What are you looking forward to the most? What show or movie are you looking forward to from Gunn?
Man, so many to pick from. In that video where he announced the first few titles he was going to be announcing in shows and movies, there wasn't a single one that he said that I wasn't excited for. But I think the one that stands out to me the most is Lanterns.
All right. And for me, I got to say I'm looking forward to Brave and Bold. I'm going traditional. I'm going straight up mainstream DC characters. I'm going Brave and Bold, everybody.
Well, that's a solid pick. That's definitely a solid pick. I'm sure that'll be a great film. Damian Wayne is going to be the starring Robin in that movie. And I'm actually really excited because he's kicking off Batman in his DCU with the Bat family already existing. That means we can get all 3 Robins together. Not all 3 Robins. 2 Robins plus Red Hood, really.
Red Hood,
all together without having to do any setup, just in it, and I love that.
Terrific. Well, you heard it. I hope that satisfied your question to what's your take on James Gunn. I hope we'll be talking more about James Gunn as more info becomes available, as more news comes out. We'll make sure Atomic Tommy is on top of it. And a great segment on the comics.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep talking about James Gunn. I'm a DC fan. I said that in the first episode, and I'm really excited to see what he does with the DC universe.
I think a lot of people are, because DC has been a disappointment sometimes, and I think people are really happy to have the fresh face in there and a guy that really knows what he's doing making the movies.
I hope so.
All right, everybody. Well, now we'll be right back, and hopefully you'll enjoy this next segment because I'm really looking forward to doing it. So up next, Bill Allen, everybody. All right, we're in studio with Bill Allen, a.k.a. Cruz Jones from the 1986 movie RAD. We are so excited to have you in studio. Welcome, Bill.
Hey now.
Oh, I tell you what, this is a dream of mine. I have been a fan of yours since I was a kid. I bought a GT Pro Performer because of your movie in 1986. I love everything about RAD. I loved watching you act in it, and I'm so honored to have you in studio today. And the first question I have for you is, what do you think of Minnesota?
Man, I'm having a great time here. Everybody has been more than kind. Apparently RAD fans are everywhere, but a few of them really are hardcore and live right here in St. Paul, Minnesota area. So I got to meet a bunch yesterday. We had a great time. The store did a great job at just alerting the fans that I'm here, and everybody seemed to have fun.
Yeah, when we did the signing, I was so happy that we had the turnout that we did, and it was amazing. People drove from Zimmerman, Minnesota, from Rochester, from Duluth, some people from out of state. The best story that we had from that was a person actually hauled a bike on his motorcycle. Believe it or not, people, a person actually carried their bike on the back of their motorcycle here to have Bill Allen, Cruz Jones sign their bike. Is that incredible or what?
Yeah, I was super happy. I was hoping he put the motorcycle on the back of the bike because that would have been even more impressive. But yeah, he showed up, and the fans really were tremendously supportive and happy that I was able to make it out here.
Yeah, and I thank you for coming to the store to do the sign. It was great. Let's dive into to a little bit about you and how did you get into acting and kind of how you got into the role of Cruz Jones.
I was recruited in 1982 to play a jockey in a movie that was financed and filmed out of the South, Texas and Kentucky. So that was my first experience on a movie set, but I was the lead actor, and it was essentially RAD on horseback, you know.
Okay.
Win the race, kiss the girl, that kind of thing. And luckily, the movie never came out because it was just not good on every level. But it got me out to Los Angeles. I had some friends out there. I had an agent, and I got my union card, so that was
your ticket.
That was my off to the races moment for me. And it was probably a year later, I got a TV show on a popular show called Hill Street Blues that I'm actually pretty proud of today because it was just such a groundbreaking television show for its time. And I kind of grew up watching it. And then next thing you know, I'm on it. And it was from that show that Hal Needham saw me and brought me in to audition for RAD.
And that show itself still has one of the most recognizable soundtracks.
That's right.
When people hear that intro music, they know, oh, that was Hill Street Blues.
Yeah, it was iconic. And, you know, there's been so many sort of derivative shows that have come since then, but it was one of the original gritty crime dramas.
And how long did you say you were on that show?
Oh, just for an episode, but I had some nice scenes and I was in the mix, and it was one of the three networks at a time when cable wasn't that popular, and if you were on a popular show, most people would see it.
So when you were discovered, you basically had the part for Crew, or did you have?
Kinda. I mean, I think at that point it was kind of mine to lose.
Okay.
You know, if I'd gone in and stumbled the audition or whatever, yeah, obviously I could have lost it, but he liked what he saw, even though it was not like Cruz Jones at all.
Okay.
But for some reason, he thought that kid was right for his movie. And so he brought me in on the strength of that. But I think he might have pretty much been decided already.
And did you ride bikes then at all, or did you have all stunt doubles, or did you do any riding?
I knew how to ride a bike, but I had almost a half dozen great stunt doubles who each had their own specialty. And so I was covered 9 ways from Sunday in that regard.
Nice. The airwalk though, that wasn't, that was a stunt double.
That was the great Jose Inez, who at the time was the only person in the world who could do a backflip on a bicycle and a motorcycle.
Wow. Oh, you had a motorcycle too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Incredible. He had a lot of cool stories to tell.
Yeah, I mean, he was a circus performer. Essentially, he didn't come from the BMX community. He was a lone wolf out in Arizona, and he just decided to learn how to do this trick. like I said, on both a motorcycle and a bicycle. And he ended up touring with Barnum and Bailey, I think, for a time, just doing that thing, because at the time it was beyond impressive. People had never seen or dreamed such a thing was possible. And watching him do a backflip on the set of RAD, it was heart-stopping.
I bet.
Again, nobody had ever seen this thing before. They brought him in because he was the only guy on the Blue Marble who knew how to do this. And so it was a heart-stopping moment every time he attempted it. It was an attempt. It's not like, oh, well, he's going to go do this trick. It's like, well, if he survives, we hope he makes it, you know. And so they would have maybe 5 cameras on him each time he did the backflip, because it was that important, and maybe the last time we're going to see Jose. So.
Well, it was iconic for the movie. I mean, it made everybody in the movie cheer, because that's how you get back into the race. It puts you back into it, and it just makes the ending that much more dramatic. It
was everything. It really was. And it's good screenwriting how it's recalled from way early in the first act of the movie, so to speak. And so that's kind of what creates the big climax in the race.
Yeah. And let's talk about some stuff in the film and people in the film. You had a pretty good cast in it. It wasn't like an off movie. I mean, even though for a cult movie, there were some big names in that movie.
Certainly. And I understand only recently that it was originally to be Charles Durning who was going to play Duke Best. And he had other commitments. And so they went with Jack Weston, who I think was actually better for that role because he's so funny.
Yep, yes.
He's comical without really trying to be comical. It's just the way he comes across. That way he speaks and kind of stammers through his dialogue. I mean, it's funny now where Charles Durning, I think, would have been a much more straight-faced approach to it. And that movie needed levity. You needed to laugh.
It did. Who probably you keep closest contact with today from the characters from the movie?
From the cast?
From the cast.
Well, from the cast, I would say probably Jamie Clark. Who played Luke. From the stunt cast, it would be Martin Aparicio, who is a friend and mentor to me. He did all this,
right?
Yeah, and he did all the stuff in the bicycle boogie sequence. 90% of it, anyway.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
he still rides today, doesn't he?
He's never been better. Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's still doing tricks on it.
He's killing
it. So now let's talk about the scene where you go ass sliding. You know, everybody wants to know. I mean, was it really cold? How was that scene? And
yeah, it was beyond cold. It was melted snow, and in the original script, it was just a waterfall, but there was no natural waterfall that we could actually go down safely. So they created what is essentially an open sewer. Oh. So Lori Loughlin goes with Crew Jones on their first date and jumps in an open sewer. It's just weird on a lot of levels, and they call it ass sliding, you know, which has kind of weird connotations. But again, it's one of those parts of the movie where you can't kind of picture the movie without that.
No.
You know, it's just goofy, but people love it.
And then in the clubhouse, you're eating the bowl of cereal, Kix. Did Kix have to pay to sponsor that part, or is that just a cereal of choice?
It was certainly a product placement moment. I don't know how that actually translates, but it brings value to a movie. How was a bit of a pioneer in product placement in that he got all the stunt teams to bring up all their gear, all their riders, all their equipment, and all they had to do is pay them a day rate. So he did that with his race movies, and people bemoan product placement, but it really does add a lot of value to a movie.
I thought it made a stick in my head that, oh yeah, you kick cereal, Crew Jones's cereal.
Well, the funniest, I think, product placement moment that people aren't necessarily aware of is when Christian is explaining sponsorship to Crew and how it works. And she's like, oh, see, Jerry, he rides for Coke. Well, if you screenshot that frame, Jerry is the costumer, and he's in like a Coca-Cola onesie, and none of the riders, they looked at that like, I'm not getting in that. Yeah. and Jerry, the costume designer, who was kind of a festive guy. We'll just put it that way. He was happy to get in the onesie and ride, ride through frame. So yeah, that was
the fame.
Yeah, that's Jerry, our
movie.
costume designer in the Coke onesie.
I had to take issue with one scene in the movie. This is my joke. It's like Crew Jones is now proven himself, and he's scaring Duke, and Duke wants to buy him, so he calls this meeting. You're walking out to meet him, and two gorgeous women come up to you, and you just walk right through them. What is going on with that in the movie? Did you not say, hey, director, what teenage boy would walk away from two great-looking chicks?
Yeah, that really struck a nerve with you. I see. You mentioned it last night during the screening, I think. And, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And it's something I would have done at 17. You got no game at 17. And so these were, wicked city women who are ready to pounce on him. Who know if it was premeditated? Again, it's a movie.
It's a movie.
But yeah, that kind of didn't bother me at all. I mean, I've been taken aback sometimes by a woman being a little more forward than I'm used to.
Yep, and then you just walk after the scene where you dance, do the bicycle boogie, and just right away after, it's like you dance you do all these great moves, then you just right away don't talk to her.
That's right. And then later in the movie, Christian says, "Well, I thought you were a man." It's like, well, what gave you that idea? Because there's nothing manly about what he's been doing so far, really, and he wimps out. Yeah, it's just on many levels.
So, but it just all the things that make the movie great and funny and it just makes it more of a cult classic because I just love everything about the movie. I love how they pick on Hollywood Mike Miranda. They kind of make him the fall guy of Hell Track. They just kind of pick him out twice in a row. It's just like, oh, it's Hollywood Mike Miranda, his second dramatic exit of the day. And it's kind of like, why'd they choose him to be the poor guy that has to be like a jobber in wrestling, has to go out there and take the loss,
Well, Mike chose him. He heard that the stunt players were getting a pay bump if they did their own stunts and did a stunt. So he went up to Hal and said, give me a bump. So that's how they figured out that bit out, and it was recurring and kind of iconic to the movie.
That's cool. Well, it worked great to me because I forever remember the lines.
Yeah, it's funny.
It was great.
Yeah,
it all added case things, all added characters in the movie. Let's talk about your book for a second. You got to hang around and meet some pretty incredible people. I saw in the book it was like Tom Cruise. You got to have Lou Diamond Phillips, George Clooney. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, Brandon Lee was a dear friend of mine, my best friend probably. Brad Pitt, I knew him pre-fame. Dermot Mulrooney. I could go on, but these are the people I came up through Hollywood with, and at the time, with the exception of Lou, I guess, because he kind of came to town as La Bamba, and really blew up. Everybody else was kind of on the make. And so it was the best time to be a young actor in Hollywood. In retrospect, I got to meet and hang with Tom Cruise and George and Brandon and Brad. And if you look at it, there's no bigger movie stars than these guys ever in the history of ever. So I've got,
and they still hold water today. They can.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, all these guys are just beyond. They've got condos on the moon, and so to have that shared experience with all these guys, and real shared experience, is something that I'll always treasure. And when it came time to write the book, it's like, well, people care about this stuff. It's actual Hollywood history.
It's your life.
Well, yeah. And personally, as a fan of pop art, I like Hollywood history. That's part of the reason I live there. It's interesting to me. So to have my own take on a very specific and, to me, wildly important part of Hollywood history is pretty cool.
Yeah. Now, if you haven't had a chance to read the book, I highly recommend you read My Rad Career. It is an easy read. It's a fun read. It goes quick, and you really get to learn about Bill's life. And it is a journey, and you do have a story to tell, and it is interesting. And I want to get off the book plug from me. I want to talk about, because it's something we talked about when you were here visiting. You're also a musician.
Yes.
And I want to hear more about the music. Oh, well, let me backtrack 1 second. Lou Diamond Phillips, you get a chance to tell him. You tell him I'm a big fan of Young Guns.
I'll call him up after this. I will.
I love Young Guns. I love that set of movies, and I liked him in that role a lot. He was great. But anyway, let's talk about the music career and where that's going, if you want to, and him in the music career too a little bit.
Sure. Well, just to backtrack a little bit, I knew Lou as a young acting student back in Texas. That's where he graduated college, and that's where I studied film acting. We ended up in the same acting class together. I came out to California first. He got discovered on a nationwide hunt to play Richie Valens, which very few people know. They went coast to coast to find him, and the rest is history, so to speak. So we reconnected in Hollywood. We've been close for all these decades. We were in a band together in the late 90s or early 90s called the Pipe Fitters with Lou Diamond Phillips. And we toured stadiums with Billy Ray Cyrus, and we played Farm Aid to, 100,000 people or whatever, how big that was. And we got on a proper tour bus and got to see much of the country and Canada. So we most recently have booked a festival in St. Thomas in January. So the Pipe Fitters apparently are reuniting with Lou Diamond Phillips. You didn't hear it here, but I think this is actually happening. And so I'm neck deep in the music, and that's just part of what I do. A lot of it. I kind of got serious with guitar over the pandemic. I'm known as a harmonica player to the people who know me in that world. But
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I hope it makes it big, and I hope it goes far for you. I really do.
I don't give a shit. I'm sorry. I don't. We're going to get together and have a great time and make good music. And if people want to come along for the ride, that's awesome. And people will pay us a couple of dollars to show up. That's even better. Yeah. But, I looked at my acting career through the eye of commerce, and I don't ever want to do that with my music, because it can, I'm not a hit maker. No. So I don't want to look at it from that point of view. How do I please these guys? It's only it's only going to please me and the guys I'm hanging with. And if people want to come along for the ride, which they will,
That's great. That's a great I like the way you're going about that, That's
I'm
awesome.
An old man, dude. What else do I got?
Well, and you have some fans here and support here, so we support you.
Thank you. Well, maybe I'll be back through here with,
You're gonna have
with
to
some
get
musicians.
You out there ice fishing is what we're gonna have to
Oh, dude, I'm worried. It's the ice cracking and leaving the windows open. It'll
be great. So how can people get your book?
Go to myradcareer.com, or you can go to Barnes & Noble or Amazon. It got picked up by a New York publisher about 4 years ago and came out on hardback. But yeah, I sell signed copies from my website if you want to check that out.
Cool. Well, thanks, Bill, for coming in and coming to Minnesota. We really appreciate it.
Loved it. Had a great time, Kevin. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Well, I have to say, Tommy, that was pretty cool having Bill Allen come in here.
Yes, it was. That was pretty sweet.
It was a dream come true for me. Childhood movie favorite. I tell you what, and he made the weekend. He just made my weekend. He made my month. I was so happy. And to do the interview was awesome. To have him in the store was great. The signing, people loved having him sign autographs. It was amazing to see the people come through. But now let's look forward to what's coming up now. Now we got to remind the people that Wednesday is New Comic Book Day, and some big books coming out. And then Saturday, of course, is Batman Day. So make sure you come and pick up your free comics for Batman. And then we have 15% off Batman items in the store. So it should be a fun Saturday for Batman Day.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. Well, another segment in the books. Another great show. Atomic Tommy. We'll drop some bombs again at the next episode. And we'll see you later, everybody.
Have a good one.